sew up that side seam. Now what I suggest, if you're not really very good at this, I suggest that, so you don't mess it up, get a pin and just hold the two together like that on both of them. So for this top one, there's the notch on the top of the power bar. I'm going to fit that, I'll put a pin there just to hold it in place so you can see. Personally, I wouldn't normally do that, I'll just let you see what it's doing. It's holding there, and that's the little bit coming down, and then that's your notch, and that's the distance you're going to sew down. Now if you are going to pin it, oops, and even if you sew it, it might pay you to pin it when it's a first attempt, but if you are going to pin it, you will find that there seems to be more fabric with the lace and the top cup than there is on the back where the power bar is, and the purpose of that is when you're sewing you kind of stretch it a bit so that it takes in all the fabric, and that stretch, because it's shorter on the back than it is on the front, that allows for the curve on the bust. So I'm going to sew this, and just so you can see what I'm doing, I'm going to start at the top. I want the lace to be exactly in place there, right, and then I'm going to put a needle down, forward 2 stitches, well 3 there, reverse a bit more, no, reverse, sorry, right, and then go forward and then take those out. Now can you see there's a pucker there? So what you've got to do is you've got to pull the fabric underneath, just by, keep your finger on the top and pull your fabric underneath, and you will find that holds it a lot better. Pull the fabric. I'm pulling it at the far end here, I'm pulling it down here, and that's keeping it straight, but it's also helping the lace lie properly. Again, pulling as I go. I've just gone over the seam, and I am holding that bottom one right. I want the bottom seam to match, so you hold it like that, and if you pull it that way, if you curve this bit up towards you like that, there's less chance of it being out of sync when you get to the end. And then down. Right, so now when I first pinned it I had an awful lot of fabric here left, but by stretching it I now have it all fitting in nicely, and it all tapers round very nicely there. And what you've got to do is you've got to press it towards the power bar, not towards the lace, because you don't want to see that seam. You don't want to see that seam through the lace, so you press it this way, but you don't top stitch it yet. Now this one, because it's been juggled around a bit, it's a good job I did put a pin there, because I now know that that pin tells me that this is the way it's got to be. It's not in line there, but never mind. So I've got to have that match there, more or less there, and I've got to have it match at the top, just past that point there. Alright, so we'll put a pin there and a pin there. Now then, because I prefer to have the fabric to the left, we're going to be doing this the opposite way around, so this is going to be a bit awkward. You could do it upside down, you could do it from the back of the fabric. I'm just going to pin that there. What we're going to do is we're going to stretch it here from about there. I now have my 2 bust cups sewn like that, and the next step is to sew the shoulder straps to the cups, and they go, I'll take that off the pattern piece, but they basically go there. And what we do is we sew them onto the bottom, and then we press the seam down towards this way and top stitch. This is the piece that I've got that projects out here, and this is where your strap lies on top. We're going to top stitch down there, we're going to stitch down there rather, and then we're going to fold it towards the bra, and then we're going to top stitch it. So we'll start here, needle in, let's hold the threads at the back to stop it from pushing it down the hole, and then back, and then forward again, right, and then back again, just a couple of stitches, right, and out you come. So let me just cut that and I'll show you. We've now sewn the strap to the actual bra part. Cut those threads off. Now we're going to turn that back on itself so that it's actually, so that the seam is not pointing this way but it's pointing that way. You can see, if I lift that up, you should see that the seam is going to be pointing towards the lace, and then we top stitch. So we'll start there. I'm not going to go forward and back here because I think it might prove a bit awkward for the fabric. So what we're going to do is top stitch, and I'm going to take it right off the fabric. Right, I've had problems trying to sew this little strap part, and I think it's because the grains are crossing each other. I've got one going that way and one going that way, but for some reason my needle is pushing the thread into the oh, it's not too bad. So I'm going to go back. I actually started halfway through. That's doing exactly what I thought it would do. It starts pushing it into the hole. So, to see how it's starting to push it into the hole, this is where you could have problems. So let's take that off. I don't know if you can see there. I think this needs to be more crossways like that. There. It's pulling the thread into the hole. So let's remove this thread. There. Okay, so let's start again. I'm going to, because I've been having problems with it, because it keeps pushing it into the bottom of the spool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, I think I prefer to start from the middle and work that way, turn it around and go from the middle and work back the other way, because of the way it keeps pushing the fabric into the bottom spool holder. So I'm going to go in first, reverse a little bit just to give it a secure, and then go along there. Then you notice I didn't reverse there. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And then I'm going to turn it round that way and go back the other way, because it's just not taking that fabric very well. So let's try it again. In, reverse a bit, and then go back to there. It just doesn't want to know that there. I don't know if I want. This is a perfect example that not even that sometimes even the best sewers, and I wouldn't say I'm a best sewer, that we still have problems. So I'm going to try, because it's just not working well, I'm going to try changing my needle to see if that might make a difference. Right, so let's try again with this. Let's go backwards and forwards and try it from the start, see if that makes a difference with this needle. I'm going to do it again from here, moving in a little bit. No, that's not in the right position. That's better. So basically it may have been simply that I need a new needle. Right, a bit messy there, but we got there in the end. Okay, so, and that is the strap top stitched on. Can you see that there? Yeah. So that's the strap top stitched on. Now, the next step. Okay, so this is where Beverly and I part company, because she mentions 4 straps here, but on the pattern pieces that I cut out, she only has written down cut 2. That's from the original thing. I'll show you in a minute from the original. And in her video instructions, she only mentions using these one piece on each side, and my Marks and Spencer's bra only uses 1 piece on each side. So I'm going to go according to her video and not according to her instructions, which are very confusing, because she says sew the 2 strap pieces together on the one long side. So she says sew those down, and then you fit them to there, and then you stitch down there and around there. Now on the video that I followed, that was the one that I followed video instructions on the bra. To be fair, it wasn't the Shelley Bra, but she said that it more or less applied the same. She actually top stitched the power bar, and then she added this strap, and the strap that she told us to add was just a single lined one. So I'm going to do exactly like this. So basically I've sewn along the top there. Now I'm going to top stitch this power bar, and you see the straps on. I'm going to turn my seam towards that way. I'm going to stitch down here, top stitch 2 rows, and basically that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be top stitched 2 rows down the power bar. So that's from there. I've already done one there, and I think it does, yes, it just does the one. I've done the 1 row there. I'm going to top stitch down here, and then I'm going to do a 2nd row of top stitch in the same way as I've done this here. So let's take that from there. I'm going to go do the 1st row along the edge of here. And then start with the 2nd row. And the 2nd row as close as possible to the 1st row. That should not be there. That ought to be underneath the foot, right. And so just simply going just beside it, not too far away. Good eyesight, good patience, not too fast, and it should be not bad to do. So that's my 2 rows, double row. Let's see if I can do it here. That's the double row going down the side there from the power bar strap, from the strap where the power bar is going down. I'm going to do the same on the other one. There you go. It's not too bad actually. That's my seam going down. Where did I think I had strayed a little bit? I felt I had strayed a little bit there, and that's a little bit away from the edge, but that's still not bad, I think, for a second attempter. So now let's see what we do now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to sew the power net section there, the back, to the front panel there. And so that's basically our pattern. I've marked it, sorry, this is the wrong way round, I've turned it over, but that's B, and I've put my 2 little dots on either side. 2 little dots that are on there will match up with those eventually. I've put those dots on both of them there It's where the middle seam from the center of the bust goes. The two little dots will match up to those. But this is your front bit opened out, and we're going to take the panel, the power bar panel, and we're going to sew that to there. Sorry, it's that way. And we're going to sew right sides together. I've got the shiny side here. Shiny side is on top here of this center part. The power neck doesn't have a right side or a wrong side, but we sew down there, and we know that you've got to have the armhole cut pointing upwards. If you've got it that way, with the armhole cut pointing downwards, you've got it on the wrong way. So it has to be that way, with the armhole pointing upwards. Do that one there, and then this one here. That there. So we've got 2 seams to do. Sew them, fold them, and then top stitch them. And we top stitch them twice. So there you go, that's the blue one. We sew them together. We fold it towards the bra itself, towards the cups themselves, and then we top stitch. I don't know if that's very clear there. Top stitch once we've done that. No changes on the stitches. Sorry, I couldn't show you my stitching because my camera battery ran out, and I'm recharging it, so I had to use my mobile phone, and unfortunately I can't sew and hold a mobile phone at the same time. So I've done a double row down there, and I've done a double row down there, and I'm going to press that, and then the next step is to fit the cups. Then it says insert the cups into the band and stitch into place with a straight stitch and 1/4 inch seams. The cup should fit neatly end to end of the bowl. Do not top stitch the seam as it will be covered with channeling. So that's the next step. We're going to put right sides together and work our way. If I put right sides together, that's the top of the lace. Sorry, I'm trying to do this by looking through the camera. It's going to go round there. It's going to go round there, and you're going to go round and fit it to there. Now I'm going to pin it just to let you see what it looks like, but she reckons you shouldn't do that. Don't forget your 2 dots, which I have on the wrong side, I believe. Oh, they've disappeared, so I'm going to have to pick them up again. Has it gone on there? Oh, no, they're still there, just vaguely there, those 2 dots. They must be there somewhere. Oh, there they are. I can just see them. 2 dots. So I'll match the 2 dots to the 2 dots and pin it on. So I've pinned one cup, the first cup, to this half circle, just so you can see what it's like. I'm going to turn it over so you can see the pins. Now the pins are set in such a way that actually there's a lot of, can you see all this give here, all this wrinkling here? Well, it's the same. Sorry, I've got a scarf around my neck and I keep ending up talking at the scarf. The same as previously, you have to stretch the bottom edge so that this is all sewn in together. There's gaps there. Can you see the gap? And basically you have to stretch it as you sew it like that, and that will allow it to be sewn in together, and it gives that 3D effect of the cup. Now the end, if you can see, the end isn't exactly matching there. I've sewn both cups in and eased it round to fit into the gap. It's just a matter of going slowly, taking your time and easing the fabric on the top into the fabric on the bottom. And basically as you're doing it, as I said before, I can't do this with one hand, but as you're sewing it, pull it. I wish I could have filmed this because well, it's just like the previous one where you hold it. I can't do it with 2 hands. Let's see if I can balance this on top of here. on top of the can, and I'll show you. As you're sewing, you pull it, and I usually hold my finger like that as I'm sewing, and then pull it like that and keep pulling, and that stretches the top surface out and keeps the bottom surface straight. Right, the next piece says cut 2 pieces of channeling wire casing to the length of the total wire plus 2 inches in brackets 5mm. Well, there's a confusion because 2 inches is not 5mm. 1 inch is 25mm and 2 inches 50mm. So does she mean 5mm or does she mean 50mm? Lay your bra with the wrong side of the cup facing up, then fold the band and the bridge under the cup to expose the seam allowance. You'll be sewing channeling only to the seam allowance. Align the edge of the channeling over the seam line. Stitch the channeling to the seam line with a straight stitch, starting and ending your stitching at the marked points. So there's a marked point and there's a marked point. So we're not actually, we're going to start and finish an inch below on the front, on the side, and probably towards the top on the inner edge. So let me just get my pencil. So we're going to leave a good gap here because that's where we're going to be putting the entering the underwire eventually, and then we're going to finish this off very close to where the lace is, as it shows there, very close. So basically I'll show you what we do. Okay, so from our packet of findings, this is the pack of findings that we bought. Sorry, it doesn't say findings on that one. It says, anyway, it's a pack of findings, but that's not it. That's not what we need. Those 3 are not what we need. It's this. It's called channeling. And the reason why it's called channeling, let me put this away. So the channeling has a little hole in the middle of it. Don't know if you can see. Let me see. Channeling has a little hole in the middle of it, and that's for your underwire to go through. One side has ridges and the other side has a lovely soft feeling about it. Now that side is the side that's going to go on your front. That's going to be the front, because that's got to be comfortable for your skin. So what it's saying is we have to take the cup. I'll hold this up a bit higher for you to see. This is our cup set into the bra. That's the center front, and we're going to take the cup and lift it up like that, so that only the seam is showing here. Only that seam is showing, and then we're going to pin the channeling along there. We're going to have the softer side facing upwards and the ridge side facing down. I'll pin it so you can see what I'm talking about. I've pinned this channeling to the seam, and you can see it's pinned just to the seam itself there. And what you have to do is you have to sew along this seam from one end to the other, right round there. I've pinned it just to where the seam is that you've sewn the cup into, and you stitch it on the side of the seam and not on the body side. So what you're going to be doing is, if I can get that to focus, is you're going to stitch it very close to the original stitching that you've done where you've sewn the cup into the seam. And what will eventually happen is, if I open it out, once you've sewn that and you eventually put your underwire in, you will then top stitch on this side to cover the whole seam there. Once your underwire is in, I'll show you on this one. This is going to be the one that you do the first time, and then it bends towards the cup, and eventually once you've got your underwire in, then you'll sew the inner one using a zipper foot or something, just to get right into the edge and sew it close to the edge. So then you end up with 2 rows like that.